There we go.
Hi guys!
What's up, friends? Hello, Ownstream community.
Happy Wednesday.
See Teresa's, see
Yes.
her little funny...
Yes, Sophia deemed
Tiger
us a
ears.
band of animals for Halloween, and so we are. Stephen's not wearing his lion mask, but it's because it's a mask. Or just because he didn't want to. That's all. Anyway, guys, we were inspired to talk to you about becoming the creator, which is a huge topic, but that's what we decided to call what we wanted to talk about today, which is basically about how do you just move forward with creative energy? How do you move forward as your God self, as your creator self, even if you still have triggers and you still have not completely overcome the person's self and its triggers. And basically that's, you can, and we want to talk about how you can do that. The last time we talked about, last time we talked together, we talked about embracing the shadow self. And so if you are still having triggers, how one way to respond to that is in those moments to welcome that as your creation, showing you a greater truth about yourself, and stepping back with the awareness of the creator to really absorb that, welcome that, embrace that with love as part of yourself, and in that embracing and stepping back as awareness to transcend it.
Yeah, the awareness is love itself, that consciousness, that enveloped energy that will kind of be able to observe this contraction or this distortion or this lack belief or this pain or this trauma or whatever it may be, is the thing that can dissolve it. It may not happen immediately, permanently, forever and ever. Some of these have a lot of momentum and they're rooted, but they can be dislodged relatively quickly. And the beauty is that it's higher self guided, because as these things appear, which oftentimes are kind of due to higher self creating circumstances that trigger them or that we're triggered into, then they can be dissolved at a certain divine timing, if you will. Anyway, so that's kind of method number one. We've got some sunlight clearly
It's
coming out
kinda
of my
nice, though.
hair, my new haircut.
Down like this.
There we go.
But method one, but we wanted to talk about this other method, and basically it's something we've been talking about together for a long time. Stephen would kind of make suggestions to me in moments where I was feeling triggered, or recently this weekend somebody was commenting on, like, we were talking about a lot of our creations, things we were creating, and she said, but you still have like person things going on too, right? And I was like, yeah, but what's working for me now is just stepping into the role of the creator. It is like the best way that I can just experience the God state and the power and the infinity and the limitlessness of creation, is just to do it. It's just to do it. And Stephen would make this suggestion to me over and over, like, oh, but you've experienced the creator state, like you feel it, you know what it feels like, can't you just step into it? And sometimes I didn't feel like that was possible, but what I'm finding is that I feel the best, the highest, the most in flow, the most channeled, the most powerful, the most alive, the most in love, when I am like creating things that feel inspired for my calling, basically.
So your calling is really the source, the source of that, and it's the tuner. It's the place to tune into, to align with this kind of God self, this creatorship, this authorship, sourcefulness. And so it's really the calling that is the taproot of that energy of the creator in me. What is my theme? What is my purpose or mission? What is the relevance to my incarnation? And we find that through feeling our excitement, kind of observing patterns of what's really deeply interesting to us. What is that? What is that joy? What is that? You can talk about it in half a dozen different ways, but we'll use the word calling. But as I'm in that space of that energy, which is always available to me, it is always there. It need not be stepped to. It need not be a journey so much as it is just a place to tune into within. That muscle of tuning in might need some fortification, but it's possible to do that. And so it's really about like noticing, oh, I'm out of alignment, tune in, see what comes from that, tune in, see what comes from that, tune in, see what comes from that. I think this is what Abraham means when they mention get in the vortex and then look to create, look to generate, look to foster something, look to endeavor, look to look to, manifest. So it's really about getting tuned in first, and that calling, the work of kind of getting clear on what that calling is, and not so much the wording of it or even the vision of it, but it's really kind of like, how does it feel? What is that feeling state? Can I get aligned with that? And if so, all kinds of magic can happen.
It is really true, because by doing that, you can embody your purpose for being here, and there was like a long time when I would could sit in a meditative state where I would feel at peace, and then I would get kind of shaken by my person stuff, and it was hard for me to get back into that. And there's really a few paths of doing this, and this is why, and Stephen recently wrote about this, why we really believe that enlightenment in the vertical path is so important to empowerment and living your calling. This image is so funny.
Zoom back a little bit. There we go.
It's so important because that's where the power comes from, is from your self-realized state. That's where the power comes from. It's not about being in a person in the world trying to manifest a Ferrari, though you can do that in some ways too if you're really connected, but it's really about bringing your purpose for being here into the world. And for me, it is definitely the thing that has worked the most to overcome, overwhelm, dissolve, move past the person triggered state. The more and more and more I can sink into my calling, I feel a current coming out of me that wants to be expressed, and I feel alive and powerful. And then those things don't matter, really. Then those things just kind of go away. Then I'm like, oh, that's not me. Oh, that's not me. The more that you can embody the creator state, the more you can be in your calling and your purpose, the more you can feel that power, those things just sort of fall away as not even being you and not being relevant at all.
Yeah, they're not really what you want. What you truly desire is first the alignment, and then what flows from there. So typically if you ask somebody, like I would do this a lot in client work, ask somebody what they want, and they'll kind of give you the standard issue stuff. Want a better relationship, a better house, a better job, more money, more this, more that, a better cat. And really what that is just a symptom of being unplugged or disconnected. Because if I'm in the state of my calling, like if I'm really experiencing that pure flow, those desires vanish. They're just not even relevant. They don't appear. They don't matter. And then what does happen is everything required for the beautiful unfolding of that calling and that journey appears naturally by grace, just easily, effortlessly, because I'm in that flow, and because that's truly what I'm meant to experience and generate. So look at what you want. Like, what do you desire? Is that coming from an aligned place, or is that really more symptomatic of being misaligned or or disconnected from that sourceful place within?
And it just underscores again how critical it is to get in touch with your calling. Why are you here? What is your purpose? It can bring it will bring a totally different meaning to your life. It will bring a totally different guiding light to your life. It will make your life make sense. It will make your life, or maybe the physical structures of your life won't make sense, but you'll feel more you than you ever had before, and you'll know what to change, So it's just once again, it is so important. And it's so important to a happy and fulfilled life to get in touch with why you are here and what you want to really manifest. What do you really want to bring about? How do you really want to serve the world?
And so the practice of this is pretty simple. Like, you just, you're aware of yourself. You see where you're out of alignment. You see where something can be tuned in, and then you tune in. You get aligned. You literally prefer that over everything else. By desiring that, you create it. There's no how to get aligned. It's really just a process of seeing, oh, I'm not aligned, and then preferring that. Sometimes it feels like I'm kind of turning the brightness up on like a dimmer switch, like you may have in a dining room or something, like turn that up, turn that up, turn that up. But it's really a feeling state that you're committed to, that you just feel into and dial up. So that's the practice. And then what flows from there, what happens from there is maybe see, like, are there certain, like, maybe you get tuned into your calling and you see, like, ooh, there's some lack beliefs here that are preventing this from even being more fully expressed, more bright, more shining, more clear, and then deal with those, transcend those, and then you'll be able to be even more and more bright. And then when you tune into that super bright aligned state, those lack beliefs vanish. They're not relevant. They're transcendent. So usually my typical day is sort of back and forth. Those lack beliefs do appear, and I'll kind of do this practice of trying to really see them, rest with them, observe them, give them that love of clear, pure awareness. And then at other times, I'm really dialed in, and I'm creating, I'm in the flow, and they just never appear in the first place. Then I'll get contracted, I'll come back to that state, and then more lack beliefs show up. It's kind of back and forth for me. I think that's very common. I'm not sure you're ever in kind of that pure God state all the time. I've not experienced that permanence yet. I'm shooting for it, though, with a lot of love and compassion for myself. Okay when that's not the case.
And for me, it's, you know, Stephen would say to me a lot, like, just get in the space, just get in the space, or get a line. And for me, sometimes, like, it literally is about actually creating, like stepping into action, like doing the work of creation, like actually becoming the creator. You know, like sometimes I have had a hard time like shifting my energetic state without creating. And what can creating is like, you know, for me lately, like starting with a physical practice at the beginning of the day where I'm like in power, when I'm in the flow, like doing yoga on the grass, like getting into it. And then like writing is a huge thing, or working on a few of the projects we have, just bringing voice to, you know, what I know is the truth. When I start to flow in that, like all those the thinking just doesn't have room, you know, it doesn't have room, it doesn't have relevance. But really actually just like stepping into the creation state can just like brings that power through. It fills me, and it makes me embody everything that I know, and it just makes the rest irrelevant. So sometimes just sitting there trying to get aligned, which is what I tried to do a lot, because I have had those experiences, meditation, but sometimes when I've been in a really like person-identified triggered state, it just hasn't worked for me. So actually action, the inspired action in the direction of my calling, and acting as a channel and just bringing that through is something that really brings me into that state better than anything else.
It gains momentum, it creates more of itself, that kind of focus. So it's really not even about being 100%. Like that's a big opt-out. Like, I don't feel it.
Big time.
I don't feel it.
That's a huge excuse, or like I'm not there yet, or I'm not perfect, or I'm still too triggered to serve, or whatever. Like no, like most of the people, even the most aligned people we know, still get triggered sometimes. And really the truth is like, move forward anyway. You have so much to offer. You give so much to offer. If this resonates at all, if you awakened, if you have excitements and creations, like bring them forth. It will only grow your creator state. Don't wait to be perfect. Right?
Big time. Super important, because then it's kind of like, even if the flow starts as like a little drip, it just starts dripping through, and you have more, just a few inspirations here and there, and that'll start to feel good. You focus on that, foster that, nourish that, it'll grow. So there's just no excuse. Waiting is irrelevant, invalidated. It's literally not even a thing. It is complete opting out. So if you feel even some inclination, if you feel like, oh, I don't even know what my calling is, but you have an inkling of it, like maybe it's this, or I'm interested in this, or this feels good. Everybody has that experience. If you indulge that, if you give yourself to that, if you focus on that, it will grow, it will increase, and your clarity will increase. So there is a certain point at which you have to engage. Creating allows you to see more clearly yourself, your state, and what needs to be cleared. And that's kind of the journey, like waiting, holding off, balking, delay. There's literally, you're never more ready than you are right now. You're always ready. You can always do this. Even if you're not perfectly dialed in, perfectly tuned in, you can still generate something that can lead you to that state.
And the trick is that embodying that, stepping into that will grow it for you. Like it will grow it. You will become the creator by being the creator. You know, waiting until you're perfect to become the creator, when you actually already are the creator now, and you're creating your experience no matter what it is. You step into an empowered creator stance instead of a disempowered creator stance where you think, oh no, I'm still creating these triggers, I'm still whatever, and then that just becomes a mental story. Instead, it's like acting in the aligned moment and being the creator. It grows that state in you. It strengthens that state in you. It renders lack beliefs more powerless and irrelevant and false for what they are. So that's
That's our become the creator.
Be the creator.
Please. If you have questions about this, post them below. I'll share below an article I wrote a few days ago. I shared yesterday. I've been writing it for a few weeks about law of attraction. It kind of gets into some of this creating stuff, which I think is interesting, and maybe you'll find it useful. I'll link to that in the first comment below. But if you have comments on this, please share. We promise next time to have better internet. And since we're not breatharians, we're going to go have lunch. Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween, guys.
Have a great time.
Have fun. Have
Should
fun.
be a fun night. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you all really soon. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.